My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. Jesus, the gospel of today is a bit strange because it starts off with some harsh phrases, and then it seems like you get totally sidetracked or you just lose your train of thought, and then it ends really quickly. So I think in order to understand what you have to tell us in the gospel of today's Mass, we have to take it slowly, bit by bit. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Gosh, Lord, I wonder what your apostles would have thought of this one. Hate their father, hate their mother, hate their wife and children, brothers and sisters, hate even their own lives. And otherwise, if they didn't, they couldn't be your disciple. Hate is a harsh word, Jesus. When Matthew tells the story that Luke tells in today's gospel, Matthew phrases it in a positive way, something which is a little bit less jarring to us. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it. Looks like we're not the only ones, Jesus, who are a bit shaken, let's say, by the word hate. Seems like Matthew himself, when he was composing his own gospel, was a little, maybe he wasn't bothered by it himself because he remembered you, and even as difficult as your words were, he just wanted to present it in a slightly more positive light, let's say, to the people he was writing for. But anyway, the message is clear. Put God first. In order to be your disciple, Lord, we must love you more than we love our father, more than we love our mother, more than we love wife, children, brothers, sisters, more than we love our own life. We must love you. Otherwise, we cannot be your disciple. You continue on. Whoever does not bear his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. But now, Lord, at this point in the gospel, it seems like there's a sudden sidetrack. Like you lose your train of thought. You all of a sudden turn off onto two analogies. For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, "This man began to build and was not able to finish." So here, Lord, we have one analogy. You are talking about someone who wanted to build a tower, did not sit down to calculate the cost, to see if he had sufficient means to complete the tower. And because he built without making those calculations, he laid the foundation and he couldn't finish. And everyone who saw him laughed at him. Clearly, it's the example of a foolish man who started what he couldn't finish. In modern day idiomatic usage, we have an expression that captures the wisdom of this analogy. Don't bite off more than you can chew. And then you, Lord, you turn to another analogy. Or what king going to encounter another king in war will not sit down first and take counsel whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes against him with 20,000? And if not, while the other is yet a great way off, he sends an embassy and asks terms of peace. So this analogy is a bit different, Lord. A king is marching toward battle. And this time, he is wise. He sits down, he considers his 10,000 men, and he asks whether he can defeat the other king with his 20,000 men. He realizes he can't, so he sends a peace delegation to ask for a truce. In modern day lingo, we have an idiomatic expression for that. Don't start fights if you can't finish them. This king was wise. The architect of the first analogy was foolish. And then, Lord, having finished these two analogies, you bounce right back to the logic of what you were saying earlier about hating father, mother, children, brother, sister's own life, about carrying your own cross. You bounce right back to that and you say, so therefore, whoever of you does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. So therefore, Lord, you are invoking the logic of these two analogies and recommending to us that we renounce all our possessions if we want to be your disciple. Lord, it seems like you are giving us a warning, a heads up. If you want to be my disciple, don't be like the foolish architect. If you want to be my disciple, make sure you love me more than you love your father, your mother, all of your family. Make sure you love me more than you love your own life. If you want to be my disciple, make sure you are willing to carry your cross every day. If you want to be my disciple, be willing to renounce all your possessions. This is a good moment for each of us praying right now to ask ourselves, does God take first place in my heart? Do I love him more than I love my own mother, my own father, my own children, my own spouse, my brothers, my sisters? Do I love God more than I love my own life? How can I possibly pretend to be his disciple if I don't love him above all those things? Am I willing to shoulder the cross, to carry it along day after day? How can I possibly imagine that I'm going to persevere in being Christ's disciple if I'm not willing to carry the cross day after day? Am I willing to detach myself from my possessions, to give them up, to get rid of them, or just to have less? If I'm not, how can I possibly imagine that I am going to follow through and continue to be Christ's disciple? Lord, we ask you that you convert us, that you allow us to love you above all things, above our own families, above our own lives. We ask you to give us the fortitude so that we can carry our cross. We ask you for a spirit of poverty so that we can detach ourselves from our possessions. And with this well-ordered love, with your fortitude, with your spirit of poverty, then we will be able to be your disciple. Mary did not love God more than she loved her own son. But that's because her son is God. Mary is the perfect disciple. With her help, we will achieve the goal of Christian discipleship. With her help, we will reach heaven. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this time of prayer. I ask your help to put them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.